Are you looking for more video game production budgets? We had such a great response to our video on how much it costs to make games that we decided to turn this topic into a set of videos. In this series, we'll be going over real examples of how much it costs game developers to make and release their games. Each video in the series can be viewed as a standalone episode, so don't worry if you haven't seen part 1. Without further ado, we are Ask Gamedev, and these are 5 more real examples of video game production budgets. Welcome back. If you're new to Ask Gamedev, we make videos to help you learn about the gaming industry so that you can elevate your games and inspire others. If you're on a game dev journey yourself, consider subscribing. We'd love to help you along the way. And if you'd like to continue the conversation, join our Discord server. Check out the description for an invite link. First up on the list is 2D platformer Dust Force. In Dust Force, you play as a janitor on a quest to sweep the world clean of dust and debris. While the title was still a prototype, Valve approached the team about releasing the full game on Steam. Keep in mind, this was before Steam Direct, back when Steam was still curated, so this was a big deal. Excited about the offer, the team decided to find the money to fund their operation. Luckily, everything seemed to fall into place right when it needed to. Soon after the offer from Valve, Dust Force won an indie pub competition and was awarded a prize of $100,000, which would act as their startup capital. The original duo that created the prototype joined up with 2 other friends, and thus Hitbox Team was born. The developer followed a simple but very accurate formula for determining the cost of developing a game. The minimum cost to make a game equals the cost of living multiplied by the amount of time needed to make the game, multiplied by the number of team members. Simple enough. No real salaries or extravagant expenses or marketing budget to figure out here. Just a team of 4 friends and a pool of money for them to live off of. The $100,000 would go towards existing bills, traveling, and of course the 4 basics: food, water, shelter, and internet. They estimated that, living frugally, it would cost around $20,000 per person per year. With one of the members of Hitbox Team living off of savings, the capital gave the team of 4 roughly 1.5 years to complete the game. Fast forward 15 months later, Dust Force is finished. Thankfully, the team had managed to stretch their bare necessity-based budget a bit, and now it was all up to the sales to see whether or not they could fund the future of their indie studio. They determined that to keep existing as a studio and develop their next game, they would need to earn around $300,000 to $400,000 US. So what happened? Deservedly so, in exactly 1 year, Hitbox Team made $668,000 US in revenue. After platform fees, they took home $489,000. Finally, after legal, accounting, server costs, software licenses, traveling expenses, and personal income taxes, the team was left with around $295,000. Looks like Dust Force really cleaned up. The Witcher series is one of the most lauded AAA releases in recent memory. With 3 critically acclaimed installments and an upcoming Netflix show based upon it, it's easy to understand why this franchise has a massive following. How much does it cost to make a hit? The budget of Witcher 3 was 306 million Polish złota, the equivalent of roughly $80 million US. This information comes to us from CD Projekt Group's 2015 half-yearly performance conference, as posted in their YouTube channel. The entire video is worth a watch in itself. The budget included a dev team of 240 people working 3.5 years. There were also additional people working on the title, like its 500 voice actors. All in all, there were 1,500 people involved in the project globally. For marketing, they ran 40 marketing campaigns in parallel, each hyper-targeted to specific markets, and 1 massive global marketing campaign. The title did extremely well at launch, moving 6 million copies in the first 6 weeks. And the rest is history. Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice is a dark fantasy action-adventure title released in 2017 by UK-based developer Ninja Theory. This is an awesome example for our list, as it's sort of a David versus Goliath story. You see, with Hellblade, the team wanted to make a AAA title with a not-so-AAA budget. The team had experience working on AAA titles in the past, and they found that budgets of games at that scale and quality were traditionally a bit too extravagant. They thought there had to be a different approach. According to the development manager Dominic Matthews, Ninja Theory wanted to see if there was a more streamlined way to create amazing quality games on a smaller budget. As we've seen, some large-scale AAA titles have budgets reaching well over $100 million, while some indie titles have budgets that provide less than minimum wage for the team members involved. To make Hellblade, the team of 20 set a budget of about $10 million and set a sales goal of 300,000 copies. This was the amount they needed to sell to break even. In order to keep under budget but still hit their quality bar, the team cut costs in innovative ways. For motion capture, the team skipped on the usual practice of flying out to high-end mocap studios in North America or New Zealand. Instead, they filmed all live-action and motion capture scenes from the game right in their own boardroom. To build their motion capture set, they used Amazon lights and IKEA wardrobe poles. They also made as much use of the resources they had on hand. For example, when Senua hears voices in the Sea of Corpses area, the voices heard are actually just the voices of the entire studio, recorded during a company meeting. Well, in the end, the team succeeded in their goal of building a great game with a reasonable budget. Hellblade was incredibly well received by the public when it was initially released for PlayStation 4 and PC, earning a rating of 9 out of 10 from IGN and an 8.5 out of 10 from Polygon. It was eventually ported to the Nintendo Switch, and a VR edition was also created. Within a year of its initial release, Hellblade had sold over 1 million copies, earning back significantly more than the $10 million budget that the team had originally worked with. While it might have seemed like a long shot at first, Ninja Theory definitely proved their point about high-quality games not requiring enormous budgets, relatively speaking. Hopefully, their work ends up inspiring small and large game devs alike to create incredible works of art that might have previously seemed prohibitively expensive. Created by Lab Zero Productions, Skullgirls is an interesting entry onto this list. It isn't the cost of the entire game that stood out to us as worth talking about, but rather a 2013 Indiegogo campaign held to raise money to simply add one character to the 2D fighting game. It might surprise you to hear that when the team behind Skullgirls decided to pursue adding in a playable character to their fighting game, they created a crowdfunding campaign with a goal of $150,000. However, once the cost of making and implementing a new character into the game is actually broken down, it turns out that this is actually a reasonable cost. Because they were crowdfunding, Lab Zero Games was completely transparent about the cost involved in adding the new character, Squiggly, to the roster. The projected costs were as follows: $48,000 towards the core development staff. This was a crew of staff members who are absolutely necessary for the creation of Squiggly. This money would cover the basic costs of living for each member. In total, it was a team of 8 people who would work for 10 total weeks. Each person agreed to take a pay cut, all in the pursuit of adding Squiggly into the game. $30,000 would go to animation, $4,000 towards voice recording, $2,000 towards creating hitboxes, which, as anyone deep into any fighting game community can tell you, is absolutely crucial, $5,000 for audio contracting, $20,000 for QA testing, $10,000 for preparing and going through first-party certification, and $10,500 to Indiegogo and processing fees. The remaining $20,500 was set aside for making and shipping physical rewards to donors. In the end, the community absolutely crushed the funding goal and ended up donating over $828,000. With all of the extra funds raised, the team was able to add not just Squiggly, but even more characters and stages as part of their stretch goals. Before we get to the final entry on our list, it's time for another inspiring Ask Gamedev community member game of the week. This week's game is O Geer by Polarity Flow. O Geer is a Metroidvania-inspired pixel art platformer set in an open sci-fi world. It was made by a core team of 4 and went from a prototype to a release version in about 15 months. The team used GameMaker Studio 2. You can pick up O Geer today on Nintendo Switch. Thimbleweed Park is a point-and-click adventure game developed by Ron Gilbert and Gary Winnick that was released in March of 2017. It's currently available for Mac, PC, and Linux on Steam, as well as iOS, Nintendo Switch, Xbox One, and PS4. Following the cult success of the pair's previous games, 1987's Maniac Mansion and 1990's The Secret of Monkey Island, in 2014 the two developers created a Kickstarter campaign with the goal of creating Thimbleweed Park. The game would be a modern spiritual successor to their previous titles that retained the feel of the point-and-click genre that defined the era. Setting an initial financing goal of $375,000, the project quickly surpassed that amount. The campaign gave the developers an initial sum of about $564,000 after paying $57,000 in fees to Kickstarter and Amazon, with which to create the project. In a blog post talking about the budget of the game, Gilbert says that seeing over $500,000 in your bank account can make you cocky, but that it's crucial to treat that sum as if it were only $500. This is because every cent counts when it comes to game development. According to the initial budget laid out in a spreadsheet shared in the same blog post, the average monthly cost of the project was projected to be roughly between $20,000 and $30,000, with the periods of additional expenses bumping the number up to as high as $72,000. Overall, the team planned to spend about $408,000 within the 12-month period between the start of production and the final release. When planning their budget, costs that some people might not immediately take into consideration were painstakingly thought over. This included things like the cost of going to events, like PAX and E3, the cost of porting to mobile platforms, and localizations costs for selling the game in international markets. The team's frugality ended up paying off, as the game was released in March of 2017, many months after the planned release date of September 2016. Their foresight gave them a cushion of dev time and allowed the team to really stretch their budget towards the end. At launch, Thimbleweed Park was met with massive critical acclaim across the board. The title landed an 84% on Metacritic, was nominated for a handful of prestigious gaming awards, and won the award for Best Ending from the Game Informer's 2017 Game of the Year Awards. Thanks for watching. For more Ask Gamedev, check out our first video on video game production budgets or this playlist on video game production.